In honor of today's ship, we're gonna be wearing like the Afro puffs for Bumblebee because she's the best girl. She deserves everything great. The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of my Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video. As y'all know, I love the 2000s, and today I want to talk about the 2000s, Black love, and animation. As someone who doesn't care to be in a relationship or to have male validation for all that matter, I love stories about romance, especially when they involve a Black woman. Last summer, me and my friend Amaya Janelle wrote a book together called Do Not Call Me Sis that has to do with the subject of fandom overall and Black womanhood. Here's some of what she had to say regarding Black women in relationships, as romance stories for Black women and girls are often a mess or become a mess. Growing's World House to be one of the worst cases of misogyny war towards a middle-aged Black woman when it comes to romance.
I'm not saying that Sean isn't allowed to move on because that's unrealistic. But what's also unrealistic and disingenuous is erasing Angela from Sean's life altogether just because they broke up and grew apart. When the two reunited on the show, their interaction felt awkward and rushed. I couldn't believe these were the same people who were once best friends, let alone a couple. In retrospect, Angela's cameo felt more like a favor to Black fans since the writers knew we wanted to see her. Frankly, they most likely wouldn't have invited her back had we not spoken up and demanded that we get a reunion from the beloved pairing. The writers and production, Angela was nothing more than a disposable character.
Put a pin on this because it's important later on. The way mainstream media treats Black female characters contributes to why fandom has become important for them. There are numerous live-action movies to pick from when it comes to Black love, meaning both of the people in the relationship are Black. While I don't care about the overall film Stomp the Yard, one of the best things about it has to be the relationship that develops between the male and the female lead. A Black film that's one of my favorites in this genre would have to be Set It Off. One of my favorite scenes in the entire movie has to do when Stoney and Keith go on their first date. I also enjoyed the small parts we got between Cleo and her partner just as well. And I know you're like, Harry, that's your favorite Black romance film? That's a crime movie. Okay, once y'all learn that Gangsta is my favorite anime and manga series of all time and that I ship Gabe Nat, shit will start to make sense. Okay? Anyways, growing up in the 2000s, seeing Black couples in animation was a strange experience. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? Because Black couples did not exist all that much, and when they did, it was not the best. Often if a Black couple were in an animated series, they were the parents of a Black person within that series, and often the Black person didn't have a romance storyline. I hate to bring her up again, but as much as I enjoy her character, this is literally Susie in All Grown Up. Also, I refuse to watch the Cleveland Show because that's a Black cartoon made for white people. I will not elaborate. As I am somebody who is a part of the cosplay community, when it comes to Black couple cosplays, I often see Bumblebee and Cyborg cosplays together. This was never really shocking to me because growing up I often saw fan art and fan fiction where Bumblebee and Cyborg were boyfriend and girlfriend. I will even admit that I shipped it. But when you go back and watch Teen Titans 2003, you see that they were not romantically involved, and Bumblebee even pointed out that she noticed that Cyborg had a crush on another girl. Why is this ship so hard? Well, because Bumblebee and Cyborg's interactions were the closest thing we got to a decent Black love story in mainstream animation at that time. That's why. And before you make your assumptions, this isn't a video hating on interracial dating. Black love is relationships where both people are Black. I highly don't give a fuck about that topic at the moment because the main people who care so much or claim to care that they care so much about interracial dating are the main ones that have a problem when a character of color is paired up with a white character when it comes to shipping. Or how y'all throw a fit when a light bright Asian dude is paired up with a woman of color of darker skin. Also, We literally cannot even get into the subject of fat phobia and colorism in relation to Black love in animation as we can with live action Black love films, because that's how non-existent it is here in animation. So let's begin. Let's talk about the portrayal of Black love in 2000s animation. I'm actually hungry as hell, but if I eat, this video not gonna get done, so let's go ahead and get it done. Hey y'all, it's Hariana and I'm back with another video. Hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Hariana. Welcome to or welcome back to The Pirate Ship, also known as Harry Hook's Pirate Ship. I'm the captain, you are not my first mate. I don't got no first mate because you wanna know why? Bring your ear closer to the speaker so you can hear me clearly. Nobody's worthy of being the first mate. But if you are new here, hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Hariana and I like to make content based on nostalgia and family and children's entertainment and all the issues that I find within those spaces. Now, the idea for this video came from when I briefly mentioned that I like the ship between Bumblebee and Cyborg from the 2003 Teen Titans, and I was like, I would love to make a deep dive about this one particular ship because it has so much to do with the fact that when it came to Black relationships in animation in the 2000s, oh Pookie, it was terrible. Like, it's actually really, really bad, and we're gonna sit here and talk about them today. I just want to say that I might miss over some of these relationships, so if I do miss over one, feel free to comment down below. It's just I picked a good handful of the ones from mainstream animation that I can remember. Like I said, I'm always not going to get anything right. So let's go ahead and begin. Before I go any further, y'all like my shirt? It says JJK daughter on it. Y'all like my necklaces? I've added this new shirt today, and I have added new lip glosses, and I have added some new prints. There's a whole bunch of tons of new stuff on my website on HarianaHook.com. That is where you can get my merchandise, and that's where you also can read my blog. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Starting with the video that is a cult classic here on this channel. In the summer of 2022, I ended up posting a video called She Fast. Now, what is She Fast about? She Fast is one of the videos that I usually send to people when they are like, oh my god, I want to check out your channel, where do I start? And I'm like, go watch She Fast. She Fast is a video I made that focused on the issues with misogynoir and adultification within the animated Nicktoons series called Hey Arnold. Now, you were somebody that grew up in the 2000s like me, or you're somebody that grew up in the 90s, you're pretty familiar with Hey Arnold, and the episodes for this series started to get a little questionable when they started to run over into the 2000s. Because when the episodes, the more the show went on, we started to see more different kinds of people that were introduced within the series. And I'll just go ahead and tell you that if you are trying to watch Hey Arnold for the sake of like how it treats its characters of color, you go watch the show for something else. Well, I appreciate Gerald and I appreciate seeing a Black family in the show. I did appreciate Phoebe and seeing an Asian American family within this series. Hey Arnold is a show that just, they needed some work in that writer's room when it came to people of color. But Hey Arnold is a series that is just funny for the most part. And it is also one of the few shows I remember growing up where shipping was a really big deal with its fandom, because a lot of people within its fandom really did ship Helga and Arnold extremely hardcore together. I remember I was one of those at one point when I was like 14 when I rewatched the entire series. And I thought it's bad, y'all. It's bad. It's funny because you know how when people be having like a shrine of like their favorite anime man, she had one of those, but Arnold, she knew him. But anyway, back on topic. Hey Arnold is a series that has so many different colorful characters, and when I say colorful, I mean in terms of personality. And the only Black couple that we would see in the series was Jamie-O's parents. And oftentimes when it comes to animation and we usually would see a Black couple, it usually is a Black character's parents. Not surprised. And while yes, I think it is important to have relationships in shows where the couple is, the Black couple specifically, is older, it would be a mess. And mind you, we are talking specifically about the 2000s. A lot of the stuff that I make on my channel usually is just looking back at the 2000s and talking about what aged well and what needed work and how that has been improved today. I will sit here and tell you that black couples in animation, it ain't been that much of an improvement, but it is slightly better than what it was during this decade. Mind you, named Chloe, and I was very uncomfortable with the way this series portrayed her because the entire episode is her throwing herself at Gerald's older brother, Jamie O. And as somebody who is a black girl and has dealt with, like, you know, people in my community hitting me with the fast allegations and me and all my other classmates, because I mainly went to predominantly black schools and whatnot, adultification is something that deeply has affected the way we grow up. And it did not help seeing that so much of the media that was put out did portray black girls in a very questionable way, and that is what Hey Arnold did with Chloe. And the reason it bothers me so much is because Hey Arnold was not particularly the best when it came to the girls of color in general. We're going to get into that a second, because I did talk about this a few months back about how the same situation happened with Gerald's older brother, Jamie O, and another black girl. But that was a whole different type of can of worms. That was just very bad portrayal, and that was just misogynoir over here. But what happened with Gerald and Chloe was just full-on adultification. Hi. Editing me here. This was something that somebody in the comment section had brought to my attention on my community page. I do want to bring up that Chloe was older than Gerald, but mind you, Chloe did not have any interest in Gerald whatsoever. The main reason why she was like spending time with Gerald and was at the house was because she wanted to use him as a way to get closer to his older brother. Listen, I don't fucking know how this shit got approved in that writer's room, but it did. Like I said, I hate this episode. I truly do despise it. If you guys are more interested in this episode, I will have the link to it down below, because I go into detail about how harmful this actually was and why we need black women in the writer's room writing for black girls. For the most part, I can see what they were trying to do with this episode, because they wanted to have a black couple on screen. They wanted to give Gerald a black love interest, which makes sense because he is black. But the show already kind of established a love interest for Gerald already. And she wasn't even white. She was an Asian girl named Phoebe. So this was the decision that Hey Arnold made that I just really was confused with, and seeing the outcome that came from that, it was very much disappointing. But it just goes to show you, this is why diversity needs to be in the writer's room as it is reflected on screen. Now, moving forward from talking about Gerald and his messed up black love story, we need to talk about what happened with Jamie O, because it's another type of misogynoir over here, because we have the adultification factor that went on with Gerald's situation, but we have the gold digger factor going on with Jamie O.
I'm running errands for me. Anyway, I figure I'll just milk him for all he's worth.
Oh! Ah, the ghetto! The ghetto!
And there is this stereotype of where black women are seen to be as gold diggers and they only want to go after men for their money and whatnot. It's a whole thing. It's actually very fucked up. By the way, if you're interested, I made a video about that episode too. The link to that will be down below. I have been wanting to talk more so about Hey Arnold's portrayal of girls of color in general, because while I do love the series, this is where the series fell flat often. Jamie O ends up meeting a girl named Charisse, and she's black, but we start to see that Charisse is using Jamie O because he does things for her. Like, he cooks for her, he cleans for her, he does her fucking laundry, like he pays for things for her. It's actually like very unsettling seeing that she's like pretty much like a teenager. She's still in high school, and we're just like, okay. But there becomes a part of the episode where, okay, it's like a mess because she's being spied on, and she basically confesses like, oh my gosh, this guy's so head over heels for me. He just does anything that he wants for me. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so unsettling. Now, why exactly does this bother me? Because I understand when it comes to having black characters, they are allowed to be bad. They are allowed to do things like this. Hey Arnold is a series where black girls barely exist. The only black girl that we saw often in this series was Timberly, and she was just irritating as shit. I'm sorry. Kimberly is JVO and Gerald's little sister, and mind you, she was just like the little sister stereotype. There wasn't really much to her. Hey Arnold is a series where black girls are pretty much non-existent. The closest thing that we get to seeing a black girl often in this series is Nadine, and Nadine is biracial. She is half black, half white, and then the series still treats her like ass. So much of her character is her being treated like shit by Rhonda. When it comes to black love and Hey Arnold, this show failed hard. Like I said, I still adore the show. I love it. It is my comfort show. I love to throw it on. But when it comes to some episodes with this series, I have to skip them because they're just too unsettling for me as a black woman. What we're going to be talking about is Valerie X Tucker from Danny Phantom. Y'all, it has been a minute since I have talked about Danny Phantom on this show, mainly because I don't know, I noticed that Danny Phantom has become like popular again, and I just kind of been scared for people to come to my channel to look at my Danny Phantom takes, because so many of my opinions on Danny Phantom have changed so much, because I used to have so much vitriol towards Sam, and now I don't hate her no more. I don't hate her no more. I understand her character a lot more, but I also came to the conclusion that she is a girl that's written by men, and men often do not know how to write girls well. It's not, it's just the truth. That is the problem that I've noticed with so many girl characters from the 2000s for media that wasn't necessarily girl oriented. The writing for them needed work. I saw the potential of what they wanted to do with Sam's character, but oftentimes she was portrayed to be a pick-me, and it was frustrating. But moving forward, I just wanted to get that off my chest, saying that your opinions can change about shit, and my opinions have changed about Sam a lot lately. It was just, ooh, she used to get on my nerves, but realizing that there was good to her character, she just needed better writing. Moving forward, we're talking about Miss Valerie, a character that can do no wrong in my eyes. Just joking, she used to do fucked up shit, I'm sorry. Remember, like I talked about Misa Amane in my YouTube short. Check out my shorts, by the way, because I'll just be yapping over there. But Valerie is a black character that I really did appreciate from the 2000s, because they did do something with her. She wasn't just the character that was just in the background, but also this series had a problem with making her the disposable black girlfriend, a trope that me and Amaya actually did talk about a bit in our book. And I have a video actually made about the subject of the disposable black girlfriend, mainly because Star vs. the Forces of Evil did that fuck shit. I will have the link to that down below. We're going to be referencing lots of other videos here today, mainly because so much of what I'm bringing up here I kind of talked about in the past before. A lot of people know that Valerie was pretty much like shipped with Danny, and that was like his girlfriend at one point. That shit did not last long. Does that even count? But Valerie x Danny is a ship that is very popular, and I really did like it. I thought it was super duper cute. It worked well, but it just, you know, we can't have nice things over here. We just can't have nice things here. They need to be careful when it comes to how they write their black characters that are in like non-black spaces, because I am aware that Danny Phantom did have other non-black characters within the series. Paulina is one that is a great example. I have some opinions about the way that show wrote her. I have a lot of opinions about the way the 2000s wrote brown girls in general. If you guys are interested, comment down below, because this is just something that I've been wanting to discuss a little bit more, because I was talking about how the writing for Princess Jasmine's character made me a bit uncomfortable, and seeing the way that this show did Paulina at times was like, We have to be very particularly careful when it comes to writing black characters or just non-black characters that are in predominantly white spaces. We know that they're doing it for the sake of adding diversity to the show, but oftentimes you have to be careful with what you do with these few characters of color within these spaces. And it's just off because we know them writer rooms are predominantly white. I know there was like one black person in the writer's room for Danny Phantom, but one out of how many? Yeah. So we do know that Tucker did have a crush on Valerie. So that was like a black ship that we saw in this show. There was another black guy in this series, and he was just there in the background. I didn't care about him. I didn't even care enough to remember his name. That's how much I didn't give a fuck about him. But Tucker and Valerie, it wasn't cute. Okay, editing me here. This was an important thing regarding Valerie and Tucker that I left out of the video. But when I say that black love in 2000s animation was so damn miserable, it was. Because Valerie pretended to like Tucker to get closer to Danny. Ah! As I mentioned, that Valerie never liked him to begin with, so then she pretends to like him, and then when she gets closer to Danny, Tucker is like, oh, Danny, you need to watch out for that one right there. I'm telling you, in 2000s, black love was miserable as hell. It was not cute whatsoever because, mind you, Tucker is a pig. Tucker is a pig. We don't like him. I find him annoying as shit. And I always try to have some type of grace when it comes to black characters in 2000s cartoons because that was just like the only thing we had at the time. I just don't like him. He's just annoying as shit. He was not a good influence on Danny. He's just an annoying ass character. He is basically the black best friend trope, I'd say. That's part of the reason why I feel as though he's just irritating as shit. But we do see that Tucker had feelings for Valerie and she was just not interested in him for a very valid reason. She didn't like him because she thought he was annoying. I get it. And she just wasn't interesting. And it could be played off as though Valerie didn't like Tucker because he wasn't air quote popular. But like if y'all actually watch the show and pay attention to Tucker, oh, he's irritating. Now, I get it. So that ship right there, no. Mind you that this one right here and then another one that I'm about to talk to, all of this shit comes from Nickelodeon. The vitriol Nickelodeon has towards black girls within their show needs to be studied. Because I've talked about this before with the way Dan Snyder portrays not just black girls and black women, but I sit here and I look at the animation department too, and it wasn't much better. But Valerie and Tucker, it was not eating. It wasn't good, no. The next one we were talking about is Darren and Miranda from As Told by Ginger. I didn't like this ship either. Okay, mind you that they briefly dated in the series, but mind you, like, Darren was like with Ginger at one point and Miranda bullied the fuck out of Ginger too. So it's just like, mind you, As Told by Ginger has to be one of the best things Nickelodeon has ever made, and I mean that shit from the bottom of my heart. But I don't like so much of the writing for Miranda's character because, like I said, you need to be careful with what you do with black characters in predominantly white spaces, okay? I think Darren was written much better than Miranda was in terms of like complexity, but so much of Miranda's character, I've talked about this before on my channel in the past, she's just mean for the sake of being mean, and it's just kind of annoying. She was also a bit obsessive of Courtney too, and yeah, I was not a fan of the Darren and Miranda ship simply because it's like we knew that Miranda's entire purpose in this series was that she was out to get Ginger and she was just Courtney, who was a white girl's best friend, and literally kissed her ass as much as she could. Yeah, this one no. And then mind you, they didn't even last. They didn't even last because Darren ended up with Ginger in the end. Like, I'm pretty sure they got married. So, no. The next one on the list would have to be The Incredibles. Now, I actually pretty like this relationship, but we're gonna get into the problems with it. So if you guys have seen The Incredibles film, we know that Frozone is married. He has a wife. They are getting married, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they were married until the end. But his fiance, his partner, her name is Honey. Was her name really Honey? I don't fucking know. But we see like them, we hear them have like some banter back and forth and whatnot. But we can tell that this man loves his wife. And I'm pretty sure in The Incredibles 2, mind you, I have not seen the movie. I gotta fact check it just to double check. I'm gonna keep this in if it's correct. But we do hear her voice off screen again. Now, this is cute. We love black love. What's the problem? We don't see her. We don't see her. I remember how people would make so much fan art of what they thought she looked like, and it would be super duper cute. Sometimes it'd be colorless, but it'd be cute for the most part. It would be so adorable, but like we don't get it. We don't get anything much from that. Yeah, we don't see her. So yeah, like I said, you guys are seeing that we don't have much. We like picking crumbs. It's like when we get something that's kind of good, it's like, oh, it's only a little bit, it's crumbs. And then when we actually get something that has some substance in it, it's kind of embarrassing. I'm like, oh. The next 2000s couple, this one's more so 90s, but Daria ran into the 2000s, so that's why I'm throwing it in here too just as well. And often when people talk about animated black couples, they tend to come up. By the way, we're not talking about Tiana and Naveen because guess what? Naveen is not black. He's South Asian, y'all. So they're not going to be talked about. I personally think that Tiana ran off with Nanami, but let me shut up. We are talking about Jody and Mac. Now, if you have not seen the series Daria basically takes place in this somewhat prestigious, wealthy, predominantly white town, and we meet all these different types of people. They're people that you would likely know in real life, and that's part of the reason why I like started watching Daria when I was in high school, because it was very much relatable for me, and I could relate to a lot of the characters. I really could relate to Daria, but she gets on my damn nerves now. I really could relate to Jane a lot. Jane actually was my favorite, but I can relate a lot to the Fashion Club girls too. And Jody is a character that I always kind of got on my nerves, but I understand her purpose now that I'm a lot older. But I also understand Mac's purpose too in this series just as well. Now, Jody and Mac, mind you, Daria has to be a series, an animated series, I'd say, like from like that period when we weren't really seeing that much black representation in animation. I think so much of what these two characters has aged well today, and I do feel like that has to do with the fact that Daria was written more for like a teen and young adult audience. Jody and Mac are one of the few black people that live in this town, thus they are some of the few black people that attend Lawndale High School. Now, we can basically pick up that the main reason why Jody and Mac are dating each other is because they are both black. Now, this is something that isn't necessarily surprising. Often when you are one of the few minorities in an area, you often tend to date other minorities just as well. That's not necessarily shocking. It's not surprising. But I think part of the reason why I don't necessarily care too much for Jody and Mac is because we could see that there was issues with their relationship, but they weren't gonna break up with each other because they were both black and they knew that nobody else was gonna understand the struggles of being black other than them two. Because last time I checked, we barely get to see Mac and Jody hang out with any other black people. That's how little of them were in this show. I feel like Daria actually did a good job with challenging the token black kid trope, because mind you, even though Jody was pretty much like the only black girl that we saw in this show, there are some racially ambiguous girls in this series. I'm not even gonna lie, because I thought Sandy was black at one point, and she's just racially ambiguous. Sandy is my problematic fave, by the way. Even though she is basically like the token black girl of the show, she isn't necessarily the token black best friend. She doesn't necessarily play into the black best friend trope, because while we do see that she is pretty much cool with Daria, Daria's best friend is a white girl. That's Jane. And so much of Jody's character is Daria understanding that because Jody is black, the way she does things is going to be different. She was like, I understand that you act the way that you do, but I can't really afford the luxury of being able to act how you do because you are white. You can do that mainly because there's so many other white people out here. I am one of the few black people here, thus that being one of the few black people in this town that other people have seen. If I cut up and act up, that's gonna affect the way they see other black people. And that is where I feel like the show really did hit the nail on the chalkboard when it came to its black characters, because everything that had to do with Jody, we see how being black really did affect her entire life, even when it came to who she dated. Like, I know that one particular scene in Daria where Jody was like, we're tokens, but we're good ones. I don't know. I never necessarily cared too much for Mac because I do feel like they could have done a little bit more with him. Mac honestly was just an accessory to Jodie. He was just an accessory to Jodie. I'm pretty sure he was just there to show us that so much of Jodie's character, her race, affected her life so much to the point where it irritated her. I don't know. Her and Mac's relationship, I understood what it stood for and I know what it meant, but like, even though we understand the purpose of art and what it is supposed to do, I never necessarily shipped this. I didn't ship it. I don't think I shipped anything in Daria because every single last person in this show got on my nerves. Like, I didn't want nobody with nobody. But yeah, there goes Jodie and Mac. One of the, I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to black couples in the 2000s, that might be like the only one that was canon, and that was the best of what was done with the material they were given. The entire purpose of them was to show, oh yeah, sometimes black people just date each other because they're the only ones there. Now, this section right here is one that I was going to sit and talk about, but I'm gonna be honest, I think y'all should go watch Tony Turner's channel. I would sit here and talk about all the little boyfriends that Penny Proud had, including the black ones, but I just think Tony can talk about the Proud family much better than I can, and much better than I can elaborate it. He can put into words much better about Penny's relationships better than I can, because so much of his channel does discuss like the Proud family and analyzing the themes that are portrayed within the series. So I'm just gonna go and link his channel down below for y'all to check out. Good work over there, okay? But Penny's relationships, they irritate the shit out of me. I really did like some of the guys that she dated, but then a lot of them were just shitty, and the Proud family is just very complex at times. It's a hot ass mess, but it is just something that is important to black culture, and we had to acknowledge the good and the bad and the ugly that went into making this series. As much as I adore it, and even though it is nostalgic, the Proud family is problematic as hell. Because it even wasn't just like Penny's relationships. I do want to bring up Sticky and DeJanae. I'm not gonna talk about Penny, but I'm gonna sit here and talk about Sticky and DeJanae. There were black couples that we saw in the Proud family, like we saw Oscar and Trudy, but the one that we mainly saw like with the like, you know, the main cast would have to be Sticky and DeJanae. And like I said, these are ships, not relationships, because we can't even really say that this was a relationship, because Sticky and DeJanae were not together, because guess what? The running gag in the Proud family is that DeJanae has a crush on Sticky and Sticky don't fucking want her. DeJanae's character, oh god, like the problems, like as somebody that is not the biggest fan of DeJanae, I can acknowledge that there are so many issues with misogynoir regarding the writing of her character, okay? And a lot of that is expressed with her interactions with Sticky. Because as I mentioned, how the running gag in this show is that DeJanae throws herself at Sticky and he's just like, DeJanae, I don't like you. And so much of what he says verbatim is, leave me alone, DeJanae. Like, I'm laughing because of how ridiculous it is. Like I said, so much about the Proud family has not aged well, especially when it handled black love. But like I said, the ongoing thing is that Sticky meet DeJanae, they meet up, they hang out with each other. Mind you that Sticky and DeJanae were both friends of Penny, even though I think Sticky was a much better friend of Penny than DeJanae ever was. But that is the reason why they were around each other quite often, because they had that one mutual friend. But it's just ongoing gag. DeJanae start bothering Sticky. He tell her to leave her alone, and then that's that. There have been times where she tried to kiss him and shit like that, and he's just like, hey, DeJanae, get up off me, I don't like you. But the one point in this ship that really started to irritate me is because there's an entire episode where DeJanae stopped liking Sticky. You hear me? She stopped liking Sticky. And he has a problem with the fact that she's not interested in him anymore. And this isn't necessarily just a gag that annoys me with this show. It is just a gag that I have noticed that goes on a lot in animation, where you have one particular character that is often up the ass of another person because they like adore them and they're obsessed with them. And once they stop being super duper obsessed with them, or they don't have a crush on them no more, or they just don't care about them anymore in general, then they start getting irritated that they're not getting that attention there. So like that episode kind of confirmed that even though Sticky be like, Dejanay, you get on my nerves, yada yada yada, and mind you, he doesn't have to accept her advances. Like I said, consent. If he told her no, no means no. Dejanay didn't seem to get that. But it's like the one episode where she don't want him no more and leave him alone, he's like, oh, I miss her. I hate it. Like, when it comes to the examples of black love in the Proud Family, so much of it is questionable. So much of it is very much giving struggle love, especially when it comes to Oscar and Trudy, because Oscar and Trudy is just like, she got this broke man living in her house. She got this broke man that live in her house. He's basically a mad scientist. His entrepreneur ventures are not working out. It's God. What even is the Proud Family at this point? And I think it kind of frustrates me a little bit because we see that so many of these issues regarding relationships and black love within the original series weren't fixed in the reboot. I feel like it was fixed when it came to Penny, because this time Penny only gets one boyfriend and he is black, and the relationship between those two is pretty cute, I'm not gonna lie. But the same issues while Oscar and Trudy were still there. Sticky is no longer here, but Dejanay finds a replacement Sticky and start bothering him. But then later on, Dejanay gets an actual boyfriend who also treats her like ass at a certain point, but then she get back together with him and stays. But for the most part, back to the 2000s Proud Family. Sticky and Dejanay, that shit right there, no, because so much of it was just harassment. And then it was the trope of, oh my god, I think I actually like being treated bad. Oh god, I hate that shit. Because they did that shit with Draken and Shigo and Kim Possible, where one time Shigo finally started being nice to Draken and he didn't like it. He preferred her being mean to him. But that doesn't necessarily bother me over there, is because one, Shigo and Draken do eventually get together in the end. Those were one of my favorite ships. If you, like I said, I ship gave that. Things about my ship make sense and you figure out I ship that. But mind you, Sticky and Dejanay are teenagers. Draken and Shigo are grown. That is different over there. So, you see all of what we have talked about so far regarding the 2000s portrayal, the 2000s anime portrayal of black love. Now, let's get into Cyborg x Bumblebee. I'm going to sit here and explain to y'all what this is, and then we're going to try to add some nuance to this, because you know that's what we do over here. Mind you, I know Bumblebee and Cyborg actually have a ship name. Let me go look that up real quick and then we'll be back. Because I think I prefer to refer to them by their ship name instead of just saying Bumblebee x Cyborg. Okay, I found it. Their ship name is Cybee. So we're going to talk about Cybee and explaining it, and then you'll see why we preferred it. The fact that Cybee was so popular, it actually is mentioned on the TV tropes page when it comes to like token black couples. I'm gonna insert it right here for y'all to see. I'm not even joking. Bumblebee basically flirts with Cyborg in every episode she's in, despite the fact that the two never shared a romance in the comics. Word of God insists it was unintentional though. They knew people were going to ship them because they're both black and tried to make the ship as unappealing as possible by having them constantly bicker, but their bickering just came off as slap slap kiss instead, especially since both characters are naturally playful and competitive. Now let's go ahead and start. How do Cyborg and Bumblebee meet each other? They both meet each other because they asses are both undercover at the Hive Academy. For those of you guys who don't know, the Hive Academy basically was a boarding school, high school type thing, where basically they train to become supervillains. Mind you, this is 2013 Titans version of it. If you guys are familiar with the DC comics, you know that the Hive is basically a fucking terrorist organization. And it still technically is a terrorist organization in the show, because what the fuck do you mean you have a school for supervillains? What is this fucking juvie? But yeah, it's still a terrorist organization, but they were able to cover it up a little bit more over there because, you know, this shit came on Cartoon Network in the 2000s. So they end up meeting each other, and it's kind of funny because when we see these two interact, you can sit here and tell like, hey, you ain't supposed to be here, you're not supposed to be here either, whatever. And then they just go on about their ways. They go on to mind their business. Cyborg is doing what he needs to do to try to solve the case. Bumblebee is just off and doing whatever, because mind you, at this point we don't necessarily know if Bumblebee is good or bad, but from what the audience has been able to pick up from her, because mind you, this is our first time really seeing Bumblebee, we think she's bad because, like I said, the Hive is a school for supervillains. So we see Bumblebee, we see Cyborg, we don't necessarily think anything of it, and then they just go their separate ways. Now we fast forward to the forward, and we find out that Bumblebee is also doing the same thing that Cyborg is doing, and that is being undercover for the Hive Academy to take it down because this is a bad place. We get that. And Bumblebee is like, oh, they butt heads with each other. It's actually really freaking funny to see them bantering back and forth with each other. But one thing I have noticed when it comes to Cyborg and Bumblebee, why was she the girl that he had the most chemistry with? But mind you, when it comes to the people that was in that house, basically Starfire was paired up with Robin and Beast Boy was paired up with Raven. So that is just pretty much everyone in the DC fandom was aware of that, but nobody was really there to be paired up with Cyborg. So Cyborg did have other love interests within the series, and we're going to talk about them a little bit more, but then you're going to see why we still prefer to ship him with Bumblebee and why so many other people prefer to ship him with Bumblebee too, just as well. So when Cyborg and Bumblebee are working together, because they're like, we need to put our differences aside, you get on my nerves, but we're gonna get this shit done, okay? We're gonna work together, we're gonna get through it, okay? And it was very much kind of giving like an enemies to lovers type thing with them, more so with the enemies and them bantering back with one another, but you can tell they actually kind of like, I like arguing with you, I'm gonna keep you around. We see when they are talking and interacting with each other, Bumblebee basically brings up that Cyborg did have a crush on another girl at the school, and that girl was Jinx. I have talked about Jinx in the past on my channel about how Teen Titans kind of has issues with colorism with her character. I'm not about to get into that because y'all be acting real funky when people bring up that this is an issue with colorism. So anyway, yeah. But Jinx is basically an Asian girl. I'm still saying that she's Asian for the most part. We see that Cyborg had a crush on her, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, of course, they're all at the age where they have crushes with each other. They're literally at a boarding school, so it's whatever. Bumblebee is like, you have a crush on Jinx. I know, you're not slick. And part of the reason why she threw that out to him was just not to only spite him, but just for him to realize that she's a lot smarter than he thinks she is. Mind you, we see Cyborg interact with Bumblebee a lot more, significantly more to be exact, than we saw him interact with Jinx. We saw that him and Jinx like went to the dance together and they had like a few back and forth with one another, but the person that we saw Cyborg the most with was Bumblebee. And you know how when you're younger you kind of forget how things happen until you go back and rewatch the series. So many people were convinced that Bumblebee and Cyborg were together because of how much they were around each other during this arc of the show. For someone who might have never ever watched Teen Titans 2003, if they go and look up Teen Titans fan art and they see Bumblebee and Cyborg together, or they go and look up Teen Titans cosplays and they see Cyborg and Bumblebee together, because I have met couples before, I have seen them out in public where they are doing like couples cosplays and they do Beast Boy and Raven, and then they do Cyborg and Bumblebee, and then you know Robin and Starfire. A lot of people can infer that these two was romantically involved. I'm not even joking. You know when people be talking about how you cannot know anything about a fandom, but because of the way the fandom portrays it, you may think that two characters were romantically involved. I'm not even joking. Because of how much content that I saw of Gojo and Ghetto, before I actually watched and read JJK, you could have told me they were together and I would have believed it because of how much fan content I've seen for this. And then mind you, I had saw a whole bunch of fan content for Nanami and Gojo too just as well. If you told me those two were together, I would have believed it. If I ain't never saw anything with Teen Titans 2003, I would have believed it. Because there is this one particular artist that I follow. I know his name is like Elo. He draws like so much like cute art, especially of like people of color. He had this one art piece of Bumblebee and Cyborg that went viral a few years back, and that just went to show you how so many people really do like this one ship right here. And it kind of sucks that it's not canon, the impact that this relationship had right here. But one thing I have noticed in particular when it comes to Cybe is that the shippers are often black. The shippers are often black. The shippers are often black. Are we surprised? No, because one, this is a black ship, and it's not a surprise that when it comes to black ships or just ships that include a black person in them, because fandom is racist, mainly black people be shipping those things. And I will go ahead and tell you that I was one of those black people, okay? Because we saw that Cyborg was romantically involved with some other people, and one of them girls was just racially ambiguous. Both of them girls was racially ambiguous, if you ask me. The only one that actually looked monoracially black, or was black, was Bumblebee, and we knew her race right away. It was very clear what she was. Her hair is really what gave it away because she had the afro puffs, and also her voice actor was black. It may not seem like it's that big a deal of why so many fans, DC fans, Teen Titans fans specifically, ended up shipping Cyborg with Bumblebee, is because one, he really was like the main one out of the core five that wasn't with anybody. But seeing how so many people shipped them this many years down the line, but seeing how it was a big thing in the 2000s and in the 2010s, when you look back at animation's history of black couples, it's not really much to pick from. Therefore, we result to shipping. One thing a lot of people don't seem to understand with why people go to shipping is because it literally fills in the void that mainstream media keeps open regarding relationships. I know a lot of people sit here and talk about how part of the reason why so many popular ships are gay ships is because a lot of mainstream media does not put LGBTQ relationships out there, or at least they're not in the front. I talked about this a bit in the crack shipping video, but often when like a couple is like a gay couple, that will be pushed to the side or they'll be towards the back. Miraculous Ladybug does that, by the way, but Miraculous Ladybug also sidelines its couples of color. Adult interracial relationship regarding Penny Rowland and Jagged Stone, it is the most ghetto toxic shit out here. Mind you, Miraculous Ladybug is 2010s and 2020s animation, but I just had to throw in some slander right there. Is it really a Harryana video if I don't throw in Descendants or Miraculous slander? I don't fucking know. Or Euphoria slander, Sam Levinson slander specifically. And also when it comes to shipping, people would ship the black characters with the non-black characters in the media too just as well. Mainly because these black characters don't really get a relationship storyline. They don't get a romance storyline, to be specific. You don't have much to pick from, therefore you run to the fanon and create your own story with the crumbs from that you get from the canon. Even though 2000s black love was very questionable and not good to the point where we had to resort to shipping something that wasn't necessarily canon, looking back at Cybe, it makes sense if the show actually did want to put them together, because it's kind of was giving, like I said, the story was low-key giving enemies to lovers with how they set them up. And then we also saw that Bumblebee and Cyborg were on good terms with each other after the case was done. And we saw later on down the line that Bumblebee went off and had her own team, and she still was on good terms with Cyborg and the rest of the people on the team, but mainly Cyborg, because that's what we're talking about right now. When you don't have much to pick from, just start taking the crumbs and running with it. I love like Bumblebee and Cyborg fan art so much. It's always like so adorable. It is always so cute. I used to read like so much like fan fiction for them when I like rewatched Teen Titans when I was like 14 years old, and I started reading fan fiction for them, and I'm so mad because it was this one fan fiction with them and it was actually really fucking cute, and he cheated on her, and I was like, why did y'all do that? Why is the DC fandom so fucking miserable? Thank you guys for watching today's video. I wanted to just get on here and just discuss like shipping and one of my favorite decades ever. When you look back at the 2000s, you realize that even though I appreciate the aesthetic overall, and it's not all glitz and glamour, like I said, my products that I make for my site are very much like 2000s inspired, even these necklaces right here. But I gotta accept the fact that like all that glitters is not gold, and there were problems here. As I mentioned, that when it comes to the subject of black love and animation, we have seen an improvement, but it has not been a drastic improvement. I'm just being completely honest. I'm sorry, I'm not. But as we are at the end of the video, once a month I do a Q&A. Sometimes I open a Q&A up to my Patreon. Sometimes I open the Q&A up to my Instagram. So yeah, if you guys are interested in participating in this Q&A, either join Patreon or follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram for free. So let's go ahead and pull up these questions and let's speed through these things. Okay, first question. If you were to choose any show you believe deserved a remake, which one would it be and why? I'm not really a fan of like anything being remade right now because I'm so fucking annoyed with remakes and we see these shits all the fucking time. But I will sit here and say I'm still waiting for the story of Gangsta to be continued. I'm still waiting. If you guys follow me, you guys know that my favorite adulthood anime would have to be Gangsta by Kosuke. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. I adore it, but not really interested in anything being remade at the moment. But I am interested in something getting a continuation, and it's Gangsta. Also, people were talking about word on the street is that Ojama Jodoremi might be getting a remake, and I'm like, okay, can we watch it in the US though? Can we watch it in the US though? Because we don't have access to that damn show over here. Okay, we gotta go watch it on freaking Kiss Anime. No. Okay, this is a Star versus the Force of Evil related question. Do you think the portrayal of Marco Diaz's parents is xenophobic? Yes, to a certain extent. Like I said, that a lot of this is 2010s animation right here. A lot of animation tries to do this thing where they feel like they're being inclusive and then they realize that so much of what they're putting out is kind of like a bit stereotypical. Mind you, I try to be particularly careful when I speak about other groups outside of like the black community because I don't want to say something that can be a little bit offensive or whatnot. I thought Marco's parents were like a cute, happy, married couple, but I do understand where you're coming from because I do see a bit of like xenophobic undertones there, but they were just very much like sidelined. They were just kind of like there in the background. We just saw them being like a happy married couple. Next question. If you could write an episode for any TV show, which one would it be? I don't want to say Abbott Elementary because I don't want to say Abbott Elementary. I don't. I'm gonna say a show that hasn't come out yet. I'd love to write for the Tiana series. Most definitely. I would love to write for the Tiana series. It has not come out yet. It is still in production. But Disney Plus is making a series for our queen, our princess, the people's princess, Tiana. And I would love to write for it, but I feel like I'm scared. Like, don't let me in that writer's room because I'm gonna write a man character. I'm gonna write a male character, and he's basically gonna be Nanami. And it's just gonna be baiting the audience, like, oh my god, was Tiana leaving the beam for him? But no, I'm not gonna do that. I'll do what I'm told, but I would love to write for the Tiana series. Next question. Nanami cosplay when? I've been liking your cosplays lately. First of all, thank you. I did do Nanami. I did Nanami last year. I did him in... Okay, I wore Nanami to AWA in 2023, last year. And I did post the pictures like in November. So I actually did do a Nanami cosplay. Like, check out my Instagram. I also put it on my story. Like, not my story, my YouTube community page. I did post about it on my YouTube shorts. But I actually have another Nanami cosplay coming up. It's going to be a Y2K Nanami. So, yeah. Next question. 1, how is your channel able to get verified? And 2, are you going to make another Tiana video? I probably am going to make another Tiana video. I just don't know particularly what to talk about regarding Tiana. I always have something to say about Tiana. I'm not even joking. Her name stay in my mouth. But how is your channel verified? Your channel cannot be verified on YouTube unless you hit 100K. So that is how I was able to get my channel verified. First of all, okay, you have to hit 100K first, and then you have to go through all these other steps and shit like that. But that is how my channel was verified, because I have 100K. Next question: have you ever watched Tuca and Birdie? If so, what is your opinion on the show? I have not watched Tuca and Birdie, but I have heard many great things about the series. So yeah, that's that. I have not watched it at all yet. I don't know if I ever plan to watch Tuca and Birdie. Mainly, I was a big fan of BoJack Horseman, and I know the same people who made Tuca and Birdie made BoJack Horseman. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't know. I need to watch it mainly because a lot of people were telling me that, like, since I like to read josei mangas, I would most likely like Tuca and Birdie, because it is a story that focuses on the subject of womanhood and the two main characters are women. So yeah. Next, do you play video games? If so, which one? I do not play video games. I've been wanting to play video games. I've had Not My Neighbor in my list for a minute, mainly because the Milkman art and cosplays really had me invested in it, and I've been interested in that story. But I really been interested in Amanda the Adventurer. That is like my video game right there that I actually care about. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's, but for like black women. I've been wanting to play Class of 09 too, by the way, but I'm not really a gamer, y'all. Like, I used to play all them damn kissing games on freaking Girls Go games. Like, if we're talking about like 2000s computer games, yeah, I still get on and like play those. I have not played the kissing games though since like I was like a teenager. I still like play like the My Scene games where you do like dress up and whatnot, and you can do the girls' nails. I still play the Sue games. Y'all know Sue? You a real one. Comment down below if you know who Sue is. But Sue was like a character that was like on Girls Go games. And I used to love doing like the hair game with her. I used to love playing like the makeup game with her. I find hair and makeup games to be like really relaxing. I love like playing cooking games too, by the way. I love playing like Sarah's cooking class. I used to like, because I never really had a Nintendo DS, I would play on my friends' Nintendo DS and play like Cooking Mama. So yeah. Favorite female character in JJK. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I like all the female characters with the exception of Mai and Mei. I just find Mai annoying. I don't care about her. I don't. Mainly because I don't like her because of the beef she has with Nobara, and that's my homegirl. I don't like Mei because I think she's a despicable human being. But I pretty much like all the women in JJK. I love Yuki. I love Yuki so much. Like, even not like the students. Momo. A lot of people hate Momo, but I really like her, and I feel like y'all hating Momo is why I like her character so much. But I really like Momo. I could really relate to her because when I was 18, I looked like I was like 14 years old. I really did. I really like Nobara. I really like Maki. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I am not the biggest fan of Maki's writing post. Okay, JJK spoilers coming up. There's a scene that happens with her and her bitch ass family, the Zenins. I am not necessarily the biggest fan of her writing post that part of JJK because it really just starts. She doesn't feel like Maki anymore. She just feels like a female version of Toji. And mind y'all know I love Toji Fujiwara forever, but like that's his own character. I like Maki more so for who she was, like Shibuya and forward. Shibuya and forward, for real. I really like Maki's character in JJK 0 too. Her outfits were giving in JJK 0. Like, she had like style. I loved it. I love Utamani. My problem with a lot of the like female characters in JJK is that I wish we could see them more because we don't see them enough. Like, I really love Utamani. I think she's so freaking cute. Like, she's just so pretty to me. Like, such a gorgeous ass woman. I love Utamani. We barely see her. I love Yuki, and then y'all know what happened with her. I'm so angry with the way Ngege wrote Yuki. Wish we could have saw more of Yuki and see like her abilities and all that and what she can do. Shoko, I love Shoko. I actually really adore her. She's so cute to me, like mainly because like I have like really baggy eyes and I look like I'm really tired all the time. She looks like she's really tired all the time. I really like Shoko, but I get irritated with the way she's written at times because I feel like the author themselves, Gege, I think Gege even forgot that Shoko was also close with Geto too. Like, I hate how JJK often portrays it as, oh, it's just Gojo that was hurt by Geto leaving and Geto dying and all that. No, Shoko was very much there too, just as well. But I really love Nobara's character. My friends told me that I remind them of her. I really do like her character though. Like very relatable, I'd say. I really like the fact that Nobara isn't perfect and she's very openly imperfect too, just as well. My biggest flaw with JJK in the like female cast is that the story just don't do enough with them. And mind you, like pretty much all the female characters in this show, they're very much irrelevant, or like their purpose in the story is just to aid a guy character, because I like Miwa's character too just as well, but so much of her arc surrounds fucking Mekamaru. Like, I have my opinions on Mekamaru because Mekamaru, I got my opinions on him. He pissed me off so bad. What are your top 3 ships overall? Oh shit, ooh. Overall? Okay, my ships be going in and out, in and out, in and out. I will sit here and tell you, at the moment, BV forever. Ben x Evie from the Descendants movies. Ben and Evie, one of my favorite ships of all time ever. Toji x Megara, that has to be one of my favorite ships ever too. And then, you know, Gabriel and Natalie, that is my problematic ship right there, my problematic favorite ship right there. So it's Ben and Evie, Toji and Megara, and then Gabriel and Natalie. Tiana and Nanami are an honorable mention, mainly because that ship is what got me into Jujutsu Kaisen. But Toji and Megara by far is my favorite one, because I've talked about this before on my channel. Watch the crack shipping video if you haven't already. But I can see a lot of myself in both Toji and Megara. I can see a lot of myself in Tiana and Nanami, but I can see a lot more of my positive traits with that ship, and I see a lot of my more complex and negative traits with Toji and Megara. So that's part of the reason why I like that one better. But Ben and Evie, listen, Ben had more chemistry with Evie than he did with his actual girlfriend. And I still love BB. I had a BB fic that I really need to like keep writing. I've written like BB one-shots before, but me and my friend Veritas Joe, we actually cosplayed as Ben and Evie together, and it was like so cute. My late friend Tashana, she did the pictures for us. But yeah, I've shot all 3 of my ships, by the way, because I shot Ben and Evie, we shot Toji and Megara, and we also shot Gabe Nat, and they're all with different people. So yeah. What is your favorite Monster High ship, if you have one? I don't have one. I'm sorry. All the ships in like Monster High, I don't know. Monster High is that one thing that I was not necessarily like big on the ships, but I will tell you one ship that I shipped hardcore like growing up, like when I was a teenager, and I love Deuce and Frankie. I don't care what nobody says. That was my favorite ship growing up from Monster High, and that's the only one I feel like nowadays that I actually still like, kind of like. But Deuce and Frankie, I was never a Cleo girl. Next, if you could live anywhere, where would it be? There's mess everywhere you go. Have you ever thought about cosplaying Trixie from American Dragon Jank Long? No, I haven't. I have not. I remember I said I wanted to cosplay like all the black girls from like 2000s cartoons. She never crossed my mind. She never crossed my mind. I don't know. I should cosplay her though at some point. Okay, my friend Kay, she asked me this. Hey girl. She asked me any new adult books she would recommend. Listen, a lot of the books that I have read so far this year have been kind of ass. I'm not even joking. A lot of them have been ass. Let me actually check my Goodreads. I do recommend reading The Grim Reaper's Lawyer. I love The Grim Reaper's Lawyer. Okay, that is my shit. It is basically a fantasy novel about this woman. Her name is Joyce. I do have a new Grim Reaper's lawyer cosplay like in the works, but she is a lawyer. She ends up being K-worded by her client, and in order for her to go to heaven, she has to be the lawyer for the Grim Reaper because his ass ended up getting in trouble. He was basically framed, and it's like a enemies to lovers type story. It's so freaking funny. It's actually hilarious. But the Grim Reaper's lawyer, I do recommend reading that. Let me look at my Goodreads right now to see if there's anything in here that I would recommend. I'm reading Diana, her true story in her own words, but I don't necessarily know if I would recommend it, mainly because the entirety of Princess Diana's life is like really sad. And it makes me sad. I had to like pause it. I had to stop reading it because it was just so like depressing. Like I just couldn't do it. What do you collect for fun? I collect dolls for fun. This is random, but do you listen to Rico Nasty? Just curious. I used to listen to Rico Nasty a lot. I still listen to her from time to time, but yeah, I listen to Rico Nasty. Favorite book right now. This is the last one. Okay. My favorite book right now, it is The Grim Reaper's Lawyer. It's The Grim Reaper's Lawyer, okay? Okay, it's The Grim Reaper's Lawyer, but it's also Gangsta by Kosuke. It is a manga series, by the way, to be more specific. But yeah, like, novel, Grim Reaper's Lawyer, manga, Gangsta. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Deeply do appreciate it. Thank you guys for everything. I'm gonna be at MomoCon the end of this month. It's literally next week as I'm filming this. Oh my god, I'm so nervous, but I'm super duper excited. If you're gonna be there, feel free to say hi. I'm really nice, by the way. I'm not gonna bite, okay? And I do have some panels. I am gonna put them on my community tab and all of that. Yeah. What else is going on with me? I think that's it. I also have some photo shoots for MomoCon. Those are planned. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, night, whatever time of the day you're watching. Hope y'all like my JJK Daughter shirt. I'm just thankful that you watched it with the ads on. Alright, thank you. Goodbye.
Now that you see, you should beware of the power of three. They come to fight as fast as they can. They're dangerous, yet fabulous. Because the Utonium made them eschew. They are the colors of pink, green, and blue. They'll catch you in the blink of an eye and do it all before bedtime. They coming through and fighting, and everyone they're shocking. You know no one can stop them all because of the chemical X. They coming through and fighting, and everyone they're shocking. You know no one can stop them all because of the chemical X. Will just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff, 2 of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bedtime. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA, the Powerpuff Girls are just here to stay.